Hi, it's Katie.
And Katie, and you are listening to ProperTea, the podcast where we spill the tea on Toronto real estate.
Let's get started.
Hi guys, welcome to ProperTea.
Welcome.
What are we talking about today, Katie?
It's part 2 of our 3-episode mini-series that we're doing on the what to expect when you're expecting, also probably copyrighted.
To buy a home. What to expect when you're expecting to buy a home is
what to expect when you're expecting to buy a home.
Please don't sue us.
There goes the blanket fort again. For the record, to everybody listening,
I actually, weirdly enough, that didn't impact the sound at all.
It didn't. Well, I mean, it is a blanket. Recording podcasts from home is an interesting experience when you have no proper room with sound treated things. Technical terms here, people. So I'm under a blanket fort that occasionally falls down.
Yeah, I mean, we all do what we have to do to make our hustle happen or whatever. That was a really... So what are we talking about today?
What are we talking about? Okay, so today is part 2 of the what to expect when you're about to buy a house series. So last episode, we talked about the buyer consultation and why that was important, why sitting down with a real estate agent and sharing your expectations is a good idea. And part 2 is congratulations, you just hired a real estate agent and now you're about to get started on your search. So what to expect during that whole process, because that's where the fun starts and the ridiculous starts.
So before we go into each thing in detail, can you kind of give us like a rundown of what this category includes?
What specifically today's episode includes?
Yeah, like what are the things to expect, and then we'll like delve in detail for each one.
Well, first of all, setting up your searches online, deciding what database you want to use, what filters are important in your searches and how things get filtered out of your searches. How hands-on do you want to be during the whole process, during the search process? The actual showings, missing keys, going the wrong directions on condos when you get out of the elevators, the weird shit that you find, the naked people that you walk in on. All of these things have happened. Oh God, showing instructions, lock boxes, what due diligence you should do when you actually find a property that you like. Who are the decision makers in the process? If dad's going to be super involved, please bring him in early so we can just bring dad in early. And then woohoo, you found an offer that you placed that you like, that now you're going to submit an offer that was coherent. My goodness, we have to get better at this articulation thing, or at least
I think we have to start doing, we were like briefly really committed to doing like vocal warm-up exercises beforehand and like tongue twisters and shit, and we have not done that. So maybe
haven't done that.
Episode 3, we're going to start with that and like let us know the difference if there is any.
A good idea. Also, I forgot we did those. Wow, time flies and absolutely stand still at the same time when you're in lockdown.
Oh my God, I know.
Right? Anyway, so, and then satisfying your conditions after you buy a house. So that's the
summary.
Yeah, basically.
Cool.
I was trying to think of not the index. What's at the front of the book?
The table of contents.
Table of contents. There you go. Thank you for the episode today.
All right. Okay. So let's go back to chapter 1. Setting up your searches, right?
Setting up your searches. So if you're in Toronto, you have several different options for, where you're going to do your searching for real estate. Well, I guess to be honest, the first thing to decide is how hands-on in the whole search process you want to be. I have had some clients who are on MLS at 5:30 in the morning until midnight at night, and sending me properties all day, every day. And they just want to search all the things. And I have other people who want absolutely nothing to do with it, and they want me just to send them all of the properties. So it's important to kind of let your real estate agent know how hands-on you want to be in the search in the beginning, because that will prevent a lot of
Avoid conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing. But yeah, so then the next thing is setting up your searches, basically. And there are, in any city probably, there are a lot of different databases. You know, all agents have their own local websites. There's realtor.ca.com, and then there are the board websites, which has the live information. So generally speaking, when you're working with a real estate agent, you will be searching on their like live MLS websites. So like I have access to Stratus and Treb, so I will give you an invitation to the websites that I use, which is Collab.
Just for the record, for everybody listening, Stratus doesn't stand for anything. It's just the name of the system. Treb is the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. So just like I said, we use a lot of acronyms. So just want to
Good point.
let people know what that is. So Treb is Katie's home board because she is an agent based in Toronto.
Woohoo!
Continue. Sorry.
Continue. Yeah, no, that's a good point. So yeah, so I'll send you an invitation to Collab. That's the website that I like to use the best, and we'll get you started on searches. What's important to know about searches is that there are a lot of filters, and some of them are very specific and some of them are very general. The more specific you make your search, the more properties you'll filter out. And not all of those search, like when we're filling out properties, like the data sheet to upload properties, not all of those filters are mandatory. So sometimes they get filled out, sometimes they don't get filled out. So it's important to keep your search kind of general so that you don't miss any properties that do actually match your criteria. But, and I hear this complaint a lot from consumers, is that their real estate agent is sending them properties that are wildly inappropriate. So these are automatic searches that we're setting you up on. And because some of those fields are not mandatory, we don't want to miss properties that work for you. So we're going to have to set up general searches, which will mean that there will be properties that are inappropriate for you that will be sent to you.
And to kind of clarify that a little bit too. So like with Collab,
yeah,
the way that it works
in a super roundabout way of telling that.
The way that Collab works is when you've decided your search criteria. Let's say you're looking for a house, not a condo, and your like upper budget is like $900K, and you want to look in like 4 different neighborhoods in Toronto. And like maybe it's really important to you that it has a gas stove, or maybe it's really important to you that it has a big backyard, or whatever it is. But the search that's going to get set up most likely is going to be like the area, the price, and the neighborhoods. And instead of getting super specific in on the gas ranges, that will get left untouched, because lots of people won't necessarily click that off when they're uploading a property. So if you only search for the ones that have specified that, you're probably going to miss a lot of the ones that haven't but actually do. The thing is that once you save the search, basically every day Collab will search for properties within that criteria, and whenever anything new comes up, you will automatically be sent the listing. Since it's more general than what your actual criteria is, you may occasionally receive something that has kind of nothing to do with what you're looking for, but it's not because your agent went out and said, oh, that's a house that I think my client would like, because they don't understand you. It was an automatic search set up by Treb or by Collab that sent you something that you can feel free to disregard.
Exactly. And most agents, I think, will kind of review the searches beforehand, and will point out the ones that work, and will kind of make a note on the ones that don't. But you know, not every system can be perfect, and we're the same. So yeah, how hands-on do you want to be in your search, and know how the filters work?
Yeah,
that's going to be important in the beginning. And then comes the fun part. You start finding properties that you like and you want to go see. Whee!
So what
Um,
happens?
oh,
How do
what
you do that?
happened?
Do you just like
Uh,
roll up and knock on a door?
no. So you'll send your agent a list of places that you want to see, or they'll send you a list of places that you want to see. If there's like a really hot property, if you're in a really hot market, you might see, something might come up in the morning and you'll try to get in and see it in the evening. Or maybe, you're just kind of starting out in your search and things are a little slower in the market. So you're going to hit, or, whatever, you're going to hit 5 properties on a Saturday morning. So few different options for searches. I'm already laughing because I'm just thinking of all of the disasters that go wrong with keys and lock boxes and trying to find them. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God.
I'm gonna pick it up for a little bit while Katie
Like
mourns for her past.
existential dread, just like thinking about like all of like the because we're heading into winter now, even though we're locked down. Real estate's essential service, guys.
Yeah,
So yeah, so we're heading into
doesn't
winter
go
now,
away.
and I'm already just thinking of all of those frozen lock boxes.
Yeah,
God.
so the thing about going out to go see places is that it's not as simple as I want to see it, this is the time that I'm available, let's go. If you're very,
Showing
very lucky,
restrictions. Oh, showing restrictions and
yeah,
showing
like if
instructions.
you're very, very lucky, maybe the property that you want to see is vacant. And if it's vacant, then probably there are very few restrictions on it. It could be as simple as I have time in the next hour. My agent does too. Let's see if we can get in. But I will tell you that 90% of the time, there's going to be 24 hours notice required to see a property. And that's because either the landlord needs the notice in order to put the key in the lockbox, or the tenant needs notice to be able to approve or deny the showing, because maybe somebody's living in the place that you are eventually going to buy and have for your own, but you can't just walk in on, somebody's life.
I
And
don't know if
although,
it's
like,
quite as high
yeah,
as 90, especially when you're for leases, probably yes, but for sales, yeah, I wouldn't say quite as high as 90 because oftentimes you can get in same day. But I mean, now with COVID and restrictions, try to give as much notice as possible.
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Well,
yeah, there are, as you said, there are processes.
and not only that, but also like the just because you've given appropriate notice doesn't mean that your showing is going to get approved. Like there's plenty of reasons why
Yeah.
people might still say, no, could you please reschedule for this time? And it's, maybe you're going out to see places that are 40 minutes away and you can't just go on a different day.
I got one confirmation or non-confirmation back recently that said there was a sick tenant in the house and I wanted to like burn my whole skin alive. I was like, I am never going into that property.
Yeah, I remember that. I distinctly recall that. You were like, sorry, we're never going to see this place.
Yeah, if you have COVID, I mean, if my client really liked it, I would have obviously put a hazmat suit on and showed it to her. But
yeah, there's some risk assessment that goes into this these days.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, I just my skin instantly started to crawl and I was just like, I hate everything in this moment.
So yeah, also like your real estate agent is a person. Maybe they're a germaphobe or something
Also,
like
for the
that.
record, Mom, don't worry, I am taking appropriate precautions because I know you're gonna get worried.
Yeah, for sure. Also, for the record, Mom, I don't go on these showings with Katie, so don't worry about that.
Don't worry, we mask and glove and hand sanitize.
So yeah,
as
so
well.
this next part of the process is a bit more complicated than it might seem from the outside. So usually it's a matter of like let's pick a day and like a chunk of time that works and figure out what places you want to see and try to book them all kind of within a half hour of each other so that we have time to go and see all of these places. But that's also like you don't get to go willy-nilly. You have an appointment time. You have to go for your appointment time. If you go before or after, you're probably not going to get in. And not only that, you're going to piss off the listing agent and the landlord, and they're not going to
That's
approve
called
any showing.
trespassing.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Which, nobody wants that. You want a fair shake at being able to see a place, especially if it turns out it's the one that you like want to buy.
Yeah.
So
The nice thing
basically,
though, I was gonna say the nice thing though is that most of these logistics happen on our end rather than the client end. So this is the magic that happens behind the scenes.
that's true. But I still think it's helpful to understand, because I definitely think
Oh yeah, totally.
we used to have, like when I used to work admin at the front desk, we would definitely have people call in and like clients call in for their agents and just be like, yeah, like I don't under like I'm at this place and I want to see it and my agent isn't answering. And I was like, did you have an appointment? And they were like, no, I just drove by it. And it's like, I feel like maybe somebody should have explained this process to you, because that's not going to work. Or like maybe if you're really fucking lucky, you'll get to walk up to the door and knock on it pre-COVID times.
Yeah.
And somebody might say, like, sure, once your agent gets here, but like that's not a good way to go about it. It's helpful to understand how the process works, I think, so that you also can have it in your head, like, you know, setting your expectations, right? Like,
Yeah. The other thing that's very important for consumers to know is that your real estate agent cannot give you the lockbox code and will not give you the lockbox code. And if they do, that's very bad and they will get in trouble for that.
yeah.
Only the real estate agent can have access to the lockbox code, and a licensed real estate agent has to be present, or licensed realtor has to be present with you on the showing. You can't just, unless it's an open house, in which case obviously different rules apply, but we can't have open houses right now. So you have to be accompanied.
You have to be accompanied. And again, the reason for that is if you take a step back from yourself and what you want and what you need in the moment, the reason for that is really good. It's so that this key, which is again to someone's home, and like there's a pretty significant potential that somebody is still living there, it can't be like free knowledge for everybody to have. That's how somebody gets broken into. Like that's how somebody gets hurt. That's not reasonable. That's not a reasonable expectation to have. There's a reason why real estate agents exist, and a large part of it is so that this part of the process where you are literally going into somebody's house is safe for you and for them.
Yeah. You have to put yourself in the seller's perspective in that case and say, would you want somebody wandering around your house unsupervised, not vetted?
And you didn't know about it, and like, you know, like
probably no. But yeah, so that's how you kind of like book showings, and that's what happens there. Is there stormtroopers, or is there? Oh, yep, there's stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers and Darth Vader. She's asking about my bathrobe. My best friend in the world got this for me. She buys me something Star Wars themed every year, even though she has never seen Star Wars and hates everything sci-fi fantasy. She's a really good friend.
It is a good friend. Yeah, I couldn't tell, like when you like moved your arms just then, I was like, is that leaves or is that stormtroopers? And then I saw Darth Vader and I was like, oh nope, shit, we want that. It looks good. I like it. Yeah, it looks really good. Okay, so some other fun things that happen on showings. Keys go missing. Keys aren't in lockboxes. Keys don't open the doors. Keys go missing. Did I say that one? Keys go missing. That. Yeah, that needs to be repeated 17 times because that's accurate. Keys don't fit. Doors don't open. God.
Alarm systems you aren't given the code for.
You weren't told about the escapist cat. Oh my God, showing instructions. I love getting showing instructions back because they're either really, really detailed and like they're 45 paragraphs long, which actually is very helpful, or they are completely useless. But my favorite ones are like, lockbox is located behind the building, down the yellow brick road, up 2 flights of stairs on the left with a rainbow sticker and pom-poms attached to it, which is really helpful. Please don't let out 17 cats that are in the in the house. 3 will try to make a run for it. The other 14 will just snooze casually or whatever. Or then the other case is like it's like the code and then it's like black lockbox, and you get there and there's 85 lock boxes and 75 of them are black. You're like, fucking life.
Yeah.
Well,
or it's winter, like you said, and
or it's winter and they're frozen.
Or frozen.
Yeah.
And you also like can't really open them with gloves on, so you have to take your gloves off, and it's
freezing. Yep. Oh, and in Toronto it gets real cold. I got so pissed off at a lockbox once. I went to a nearby Tim Hortons and asked for a cup of
like boiling water.
I think I actually was so mad and so like just kind of like not thinking clearly at that point that I think I actually just bought a coffee and went back and poured it over the lockbox. So apologies to that person. I have since bought lock de-icer and lock de-icer, and will use hot water in the future. I won't be an asshole and use coffee. But I have
things break, you know. Sometimes you
Yeah.
just can't. You just can't.
I have to be completely fair. I have opened. I'm not the only one who has done that with the coffee, because I've opened lock boxes before, and there's been like just like the coffee slush like hits you. The like smell of the coffee like hits you as you open the lockbox. It's amazing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there's a lot of lockbox adventures. The other thing that happens is in condos, sometimes they're in stairwells, like on the same floor of the unit, and occasionally the door to the staircase will lock behind you.
Yep.
That happened to a friend of mine once. He was showing a unit on like the 40 something floor. He was previewing a unit on the 40 something floor for another agent at like my brokerage, and she didn't tell him that the door locked behind him when he like went and got the keys, and he was just by himself. He didn't have clients because he was previewing the unit, and he had to walk down like 20 flights of stairs before he found a door that would open. He was so mad.
Oh my
So mad.
I was gonna say that's like a really common, when we used to take like confirmations for people at the front desk. That was a really common, which was like, FYI, like door automatically locks behind you. Do not let it close. Like all caps, every single time.
Yep. I've put my, I don't obviously don't want to test a door because you don't want to get locked out. So, and like there are some doors that you just know like have like fobs or whatever, so you know you're going to get locked out because keys are often in parking garages. And so I've put like my shoe, I've put my coat, I've put my purse, I put anything like in between the door to like try to like stop it from. I almost put my iPad once, and then I was like, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
That is definitely, I'm really glad that you stopped yourself, because that would have been just like tragic for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, tragic for a lot of reasons. I think I ended up putting my shoe.
Better. Definitely better.
But yeah, keys.
Yeah, crazy shit goes on. Also, isn't there like, don't some of the condos downtown not allow you to keep lock boxes on the premises?
Yeah, sometimes they're like new construction often is like across the street or is in like a weird location. My favorite is when the concierge has it. Makes it really easy.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh God, one time it was, the instructions were lock boxes on the corner of Yonge and Queens Quay, or Queens Quay, however you choose to pronounce it, Torontonians.
Key, definitely key. I got corrected hard like a number of years ago, and I've never forgotten.
I get corrected too, but I still hear people say Queens Quay. So
Yeah, but
I say
those
both.
people are wrong.
They're foreigners like us. Anyway. Yeah. The lockbox instructions were literally key is at the corner of Yonge and Queens Quay, and I was like, that's an intersection. Like on like post. Like, is it on a post? Is it on like a fence? Is it on a rail? Not to mention the building that I was seeing was like not really on that corner. It was like a little bit further down. So, oh God, I hated that one. I ended up walking into after probably like 40 minutes of looking, I ended up walking into like an office that was like very hidden and kind of around the corner. I was like, this is a really ridiculous question, but do you like, has anybody told you where a key to this unit might be? And they're like, oh yeah, we have it. I was like,
why wouldn't you say that?
What?
Why would you not get, like, there's a literal address you could give to a person who knows where it. Oh my God, people are the fucking worst.
Yeah. Yep. I was.
Oh, I have such a hair trigger with this stuff because like it really hasn't been that long since I was working in that position where it would just be like, I don't know, either having to deal with agents with their own listings giving me showing instructions that were like so dumb, just so stupid, where I was like, are you going to elaborate at all? At all? Like, because I think you're going to get a lot of calls, and that means I'm going to get a lot of calls.
Yeah.
And I would at least like to be able to explain to people where the freaking key is, or from agents from other brokerages calling and being like, I can't find the key and I don't understand. The listing agent isn't answering. And it's just like, I'm like, okay, like, have you gone to this place and this place to here? Yes, and I'm here and I can't. It's just not. Or my favorite is actually when people call because they can't get the lockbox open, and it's like they have the right code, but they
And they
can't get
expect
it
you to do
open.
something about it. I mean, I'm definitely
Exactly.
guilty of making that call for sure. But like okay, so you do have to call to confirm the code, but once you know
Right,
you
for
have the right
sure. That
code,
that I don't have a problem with. It's when
yeah,
I confirm that the code is correct and then they make me stay on the phone with them while they like try to open the logbox. And I'm like, I feel like I can't help you.
yeah,
And I have other calls I have to take.
yeah.
And
At
I'm
least,
really sorry that this is hard.
yeah, at least I like hang up because I understand. I'm like, you can't do anything for me, but I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. So okay, thank you. Okay, bye. Is
Yeah.
basically
That's like you sometimes they'll be like, do you want me to like try to get the listing agent on the line or something like that? And they'll just be like, ugh, no, like just I'll figure it out. But are you sure the code is this? Like, yes, I'm sure.
oftentimes by the time that you've called the office, you have already tried the listing agent. I mean, I generally try the listing agent first because you have no idea. Actually, you probably do. You have no idea how many times a listing agent will change a lockbox code and
And
forget
not
to
fucking tell
update the
anybody about
office.
it. Yep, yeah, I
Yeah,
know that intimately.
yeah, yeah. I get that all the time. Or there was one time they were like, oh God, I'm okay. We could talk a lot about lockboxes and terrible showing instructions, but we will just post pictures of some of those lockbox locations so you guys know exactly what we're talking about,
Yeah.
and we'll move on.
Good God. Okay, so what comes next? I don't
What comes
remember.
next? um, Oh my God, all of the weird things you actually find in houses. I should do a wallpaper tour sometime. And it's like all the vintage wallpaper that you see some really amazing stuff. Or like just like randomly running into people like in the homes. Um One time I went into a property where instead of leaving during the showing, somebody just hid under the covers on their bed.
What?
Yeah, my client and I were walking around the kitchen and then we went into the bedroom and I think I stepped in first and I looked at the bed and it was incredibly lumpy in a really weird way and I was just like, oh my God. So I tapped him on the shoulder and I just went like this. Like I put my finger to my lip because obviously going like this you have to describe it. We're audio, we're not video
Yeah,
here, people.
right. I'm staring at you, but nobody else is.
So I just covered my lip and I pointed to the bed and he just but like his eyes just went bug-eyed and I was like,
Yeah, we gotta
go
go.
look in the bathroom and let's get the fuck out of here.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird stuff goes down.
Weird stuff goes down. Another time, a friend of mine was actually covering a showing for me. So thank you. Shout out Cody. He was covering a showing for me and got to the unit, knocked on the door. A guy ripped open the door really hard before he could open it, super naked, stark naked. It was like, this unit's not available anymore, and slammed the door closed.
You know what's crazy to me that nobody has come up yet with like a coffee table book of like stories from realtors.
I feel like that has to exist. We need
If
to
it
look into
doesn't,
that.
it's patented as of
We have
right
to,
now.
yeah,
Don't
we
fucking
need,
steal it. I will come for you. That was me. That was mine. You can't have it. Goodbye.
we'll have to crowdsource the worst ideas because like people have accounts with like and they, oh God, the stuff that people like screenshot and like send to some of these like realtor meme accounts or whatever that get reposted and it's
Yeah.
bad.
And people can also be like, forget even just like the weird ones, like somebody being asleep in the bed or like anything like that. Like sometimes people are home and they're just really nasty. Like they're
Yeah,
just mean and angry. And it makes it really hard to, like, I would think, bring a client in and be like, envision yourself living here when like someone's yelling at you.
yeah.
Or even just like giving you the stink eye from the couch.
Yeah. One of my least favorite things is when I get a showing confirmation back and it says go direct, owner will be home.
Yeah.
Because it's so awkward to talk about the owner's home when they're there. Like, especially if you want to change things, it's like, oh, I hate that. That's ugly. Or it's like, oh, they have the ugliest furniture. It's like, I mean, not that like everybody friggin' has recording equipment anywhere. So generally speaking, you try not to talk about the unit when you're in the unit or in the home anyway. You wait until you get outside and away from the Ring cameras. But you know, every now and then something will slip out and you may offend a homeowner or a seller. Or you may like start like blowing up a seller, being like, "Oh my god, I love your home, I love your home," and then all of a sudden they won't accept your offer because it's you know not good enough and they need more money or whatever. So it's so awkward when homeowners are home.
Yeah, that sounds difficult.
So sellers, please leave. Like, we get it. We know that it's, scary to have strangers walk around your home, but we are licensed. We're professionals. We do our jobs well. Um, and your house will sell better and show better if you're not in it.
Yeah, that's true too. That's definitely true. That's always been true.
But yeah, so your real estate agent hopefully will prepare you for all of the batshit craziness that can and very likely will occur during showings. So be prepared for that. Also, photos can do a wonderful thing. Everybody know how you can filter the fuck out of your face and everything with everything that you can do with pictures. Yeah, you can do that to houses too, guys. You can do a lot to pictures of houses to make them look a lot nicer. So if you fall in love with something online, make sure you see it in person before you put an offer on it, whether it be for lease or for sale, because
you just never know.
Things may appear bigger than they seem in real life.
Yeah,
What is it that the mirror says?
Yeah, items may appear bigger than smaller than
Whatever.
Actually,
Either
whatever.
way, it's wrong.
It's a thing. It's on car mirrors. I don't know. You guys know. Anyway.
But yeah. And the next step in the process is finding a place that you like and wanting to put an offer in on, and what do you need to know about the property?
I don't know. What do you need to know?
What do you need to know? Well, the first thing that you need to know is you need to make a list of what's important to you. So anything that would affect your decision to buy or sell a home, you need to let your real estate agent know, and that's where you need to start with the due diligence. So if having a roof less than 5 years old is really important to you and is a complete deal breaker, then your real estate agent needs to look into the age of your roof as part of your due diligence. That's kind of a weird one. I don't know why that example came to my head, but there are very specific things that to each person that could be deal breakers. So I would say start there. The next thing, especially in Toronto, that's very important to look at, in my opinion, is floodplains. Because that kind of stuff can affect your insurance and your resale ability, all kinds of things. So you want to look into that. If you're buying a condo, you're going to need to look into the status certificate and have that reviewed by a lawyer. Home inspections.
What exactly is a status certificate?
The status certificate is a document that gives you the status of the building. So it'll talk about things like the reserve fund, how much money is in the reserve fund, and the reserve fund is used for like big repairs or that kind of thing in building. A portion of your maintenance fees goes towards the reserve fund, and the reserve fund, generally speaking, has to have kind of like a certain amount of money in it to be considered healthy. So you want to make sure that the reserve fund is healthy. It talks about the age of the building, the condition of the building, if there are any big projects coming on that they're going to do, like if they're going to, be looking into whether or not the roof needs to be redone in the next little while. That would be like a special assessment. So that kind of thing. Any lawsuits in the building, there's lots of stuff that status certificates tell you. The condo rules and bylaws, like pet restrictions, that kind of thing. That's on the status certificate. It's a very, very, very important document. And there are deals that have fallen apart based on the status certificate. So whether you do it before you submit your offer or after you submit your offer and make your offer conditional on the status review, it's a document that absolutely 100% needs to be reviewed by a lawyer, not by a real estate agent, because a real estate agent, whether or not they know how to read a status, it's something that your lawyer needs to take a look at, because there's lots of legalese in there. And it's also a really, really big, long ass document. So lawyers know how to read them best and the fastest. So get yourself a good one.
Cool. That makes a lot of sense. It actually clears a lot of things up for me, because I've always it's more or less what I thought it was, but I was never like 100% sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty simplified overview of what the status is, but yeah, it's something that your lawyer needs to look at.
So due diligence, that's a really important thing. You found a place that's really exciting. You can't just put an offer in. You have to kind of explore it a little more deeply, and you're not going to do it for every single property you see, because what's the point of doing it for a property that you're not really interested in? But it is a step of the process that's pretty freaking important.
Yeah. Before you submit an offer, before your offer goes firm, you want to make sure that you know as much about the property as you possibly can, so that there's no surprises after you buy.
And so for the last little bit to talk about today, offers. So two things. Number one is what is an offer, and what are your expectations that should be associated with it? There sometimes are multiple offers. What does that mean? And then also, what is the difference between a conditional deal and a firm deal?
Yes. Deep breath, because it is a lot. So yeah, offers. You found a place that you're writing up and you're submitting an offer. I'm not going to tell you how to write an offer, because that's going to be between you and your agent, but you're going to look into things like, are you in competition? If so, how many other offers are you competing with? If you're not in competition, what is your negotiation power? Regarding the biggest conditions, which are kind of home inspection, financing, lawyer review, are they going to be done before the offer or after the offer? If you're in competition, multiple offers, they should probably be done before you submit your offer. Otherwise, you will not have very high chances, especially if you're in Toronto.
So the reason for that is because, especially in multiple offers, a seller automatically always wants a firm offer over a conditional offer, right? Because a conditional offer has the potential to fall through. The offer is being made conditionally upon either a home inspection, a status certificate being reviewed by their lawyer, an appraisal from the bank, whatever it is. It means that if the seller accepts that offer, there's a possibility that they are going to lose out on their sale if any one of these things doesn't come back the way that the buyer wanted them to.
Exactly. So a conditional offer is almost like the promise of an offer. Like a firm offer means there's no conditions. The buyer has agreed to pay X amount of money for the house with this much deposit, and it's going to close on this day. It's firm. It's a done deal. As soon as you sign on the line, there is no backing out. A conditional offer will have conditions like based up for, the home inspection has to come back satisfactory to the buyer. The financing has to come back satisfactory or has to be put in place satisfactory to the buyer. The lawyer review has to come back satisfactory to the buyer. So a conditional offer is almost like a promise of an offer, promise of a sale. So if all of these things come through, I promise I'll buy your property. But if they don't, you're shit out of luck.
Right.
So in Toronto, when you have multiple offers and you get into competition, a lot of people will just put in firm offers. Ideally, if you're working with a good agent, you have satisfied those conditions before you have put in the offer. So you have already had your lawyer look at the status certificate or do the review. You've already had a home inspector go through. You already have your financing in place. You have sent that property to a mortgage broker, and the mortgage broker has sent it to the actual lender who is going to be writing your mortgage and say, yes, when the offer gets accepted for this price at these details, we will give them the mortgage. Once all of those conditions have been satisfied, you can put in a firm offer. But until you have that word, you should go in conditional.
Yeah. So even though a firm offer may be better in terms of having your offer be accepted, it's never worth it to put a firm offer down on a place that hasn't really had that
Proper
bit of
due
due
diligence.
diligence been done.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't want to put a firm offer on a place because you're getting pressure from the seller or your agent or whoever it is, when you haven't had an opportunity to look at those things. Like if a home inspection hasn't been pre-ordered and you can't look at it together, if there is no appraisal, if there are other things that were maybe red flags when you were looking at the house, and you're not going to be given the opportunity to find out and assess one way or another. Because if you put in a firm offer and it gets accepted, you're on the hook for that regardless of what any of those things find after the fact.
Yep.
um
Legally bound. Like legally
yeah,
bound.
and that's not a place that you want to be. So offers are stressful but exciting.
They don't have to be stressful. You just have to make sure that you're well informed. You have to make everything that you want to know about your property, you have to convey to your real estate agent so they can look into it for you. And, there's a certain amount of information that your real estate is just going to kind of look into anyway. But yeah, just make sure that you're informed and that you're comfortable going forward with the purchase, because it is a big one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
And then hopefully you win. Woohoo!
hopefully you win. And our next episode is going to be on what happens when your offer does get accepted. What is the closing process? It is a mystery.
You know what the first thing that's going to happen after you win your offer? You are going to freak the fuck out and you're going to absolutely lose your shit, and you're going to start thinking that you made a huge mistake, and you're going to be like, oh my God, what have I done? What have I done? Happens to everybody.
That's good. I feel like it's probably nice to just get that information out there. Like if you've had a post-offer exception panic attack, you're not alone.
You are, yeah. If you have not had a post-offer exception panic attack, you are the exception, not the rule. Honestly. Yeah. Like everybody has a panic attack. And I heard somebody say to me once, the day after, a week after you bought your house, do you think you made the right decision? No, you think it was the worst idea ever. And then, 6 months to a year later, you're like, oh my God, thank God. Like oh my God, it was the best decision of my whole life. And I was no exception to that. When I bought my house, I went along with the process kicking and screaming. I kind of felt the entire time, honestly, like I was playing adult, playing grown up.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think any decision of that magnitude, and it doesn't even have to be buying a house or a car. It could be deciding where you're going to university, or where you want to live, or what career you want to do, or what you want to study in school. Any kind of decision like that, I think we all automatically have a little moment of panic right after. It's you've made a decision and then you're just like, oh shit, what if that was wrong?
Yeah, but trust yourself, trust your agent, and start clawing that equity, girl. Okay?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Get your money.
Thanks for listening to us ramble. If you guys are interested in more ridiculous showing stories, because I know that that's super, super fun.
Or lockbox stories.
Yeah, lockbox stories, naked tenants opening the doors stories, etc., etc.
I didn't realize how triggering lockboxes were for me until I started really talking about them. Wow.
Yeah, that was you have a lot in you. I don't think we're anywhere near done. We're gonna have to have a little episode where Katie just gets to vent and get it all out once and for all. So yeah, if there's interest in that, please let us know. I feel like there will be, / even if you guys say that there isn't, I'm gonna ask for it because I'm interested.
Cool. Honestly, it might be good for my mental health, so we're gonna do it anyway.
That's what I'm saying. And what's good for your mental health, generally speaking, is good for my mental health.
Amazing. Okay, cool. Yeah, look forward to that, everyone.
Okay. Thank you for listening, guys. If you have any questions about today's episode or yesterday's episode, or like previous episode, we did happen to record it yesterday. Let us know, as always. Like, shoot us a DM on Instagram, or you can get in touch with Katie via her email, which I'm pretty sure we put on all of our podcast information. And if we didn't, I will go update that now.
It's there. Okay, cool. Yay. Bye.
Bye. You've been listening to ProperTea Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on all of the platforms.
And remember, if you have any questions about anything we've discussed on the podcast, or you want us to discuss, DM us on our Instagram at properteapodcast. That's PROPERTEA podcast.
See you next time. Bye.